The 16th ranked head coach, according to the Redshirt Sophomore podcast, Scott Satterfield of Cincinnati. And I thought this was very easy. I ranked him as my 16th head coach in these rankings. You actually ranked him at 15. So you didn't have him as the worst. And we'll get to your guy that you think is the worst. But why, to you, does Scott Satterfield not exactly turn the page, per se?
Listen, we've been, this is no secret on this channel. Scott Satterfield, when he was hired, we were kind of like, okay, Cincinnati, you just got rid of one of the best coaches in college football, Luke Fickell. Not got rid of, but he left you, right? And you have an opportunity, knowing you're a year away from moving to the Big 12, right? And you hire Scott Satterfield, who kind of took a pay, kind of what almost demoted from Louisville, and then they got a better guy in Jeff Brom. They're the guy they actually wanted. So like really interesting process all throughout. I thought he had a really, really tough job moving to Big 12. Not only did his roster get gutted, but it's been a couple of years coming that roster was gutted to the NFL draft, but also to the transfer portal. After Fickle was gone, they have to recruit a little bit better. They started to do that in the tail end of the years under Fickle. So you know the potential is there to do it, but to sign the 50th ranked class is not going to cut it, especially when I don't think you're an elite level coach on the field. You've signed some good
No.
guys at Louisville, so like the potential, I guess, is there for Satterfield. But year one was super frustrating at times. You had chances to beat Baylor, chance to beat UCF. You were hanging in there with Oklahoma, right? You lost to in state in Miami, Ohio. Unacceptable things to do. Your signature win was Pitt, who ended up being terrible. So yeah, it was a tough year for Cincinnati fans. I know that we got a couple listeners on the show from the Cincy area, so it's tough. It's tough, but yeah, 16, 15 seems about right for him. He was 15 for me, but 16 can't complain with that.
And knowing these Cincinnati fans that you allude to, I think they would agree with putting him at 15, 16. This is the easiest pick for me. Here's why. I get that he did really good at App State. And that's, you know, a tough program to win because it's not, you know, but honestly, like you can win at that program better than other G5 programs for sure. There's a built-in system that works. There's a culture. There's money compared to other G5 schools. You can win there, right? And we've seen people win there plenty. People that are not named Scott Satterfield at Louisville, man, at Louisville with Clemson on the down skis, right? Yeah, you had schools Virginia, Wake Forest, Pitt, and North Carolina all made conference championships in your tenure there. All of them, every single one of them. And you couldn't do anything. And you had a talented roster. You had a talented roster. Let's not be uh, light about that, right? Scott Satterfield's a pretty decent recruiter himself. I understand that. Just didn't show up on the field. And then guess what? You move out of there. Jeff Brom comes in, the guy that they originally wanted, and he wins immediately. And he makes a conference championship. So to me, I never understood the Scott Satterfield hire. I thought there were better coaches on the board for sure. I thought this was a sketchy hire from the start, and I think in year one, yeah, it was an impossible job, right? Like who was gonna do much better than Scott Satterfield coming in there? But I don't feel great about the trajectory of this program, to be honest, with Scott Satterfield at the helm. And honestly, it can be a pretty decent program. Like since Ohio is a state where you have good football. It's pretty deep in terms of its talent. It's not Mississippi, it's not Georgia, it's not Florida, it's not Texas, it's not Alabama, right? But in the Big 12, the talent in Texas is spread out pretty evenly, right? When you're recruiting there in Ohio and you're getting some like you're not going to have a crazy talent margin difference. So only winning 3 games in the Big 12 as a Cincinnati fan should be disappointing. And I don't know how much better it's going to get with Scott Satterfield.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I do like what they've done in the portal just a little bit. Tyron Smith's a pretty good player from UTEP. Obviously, we've done our video on Brendan Sorsby, who was a baller for Indiana this year, just about the only bright spot on that team. And they have potential. You mentioned the state of Ohio being talent rich. You have a guy like Evan Pryor, who's a very highly rated recruit in his own right, and at Ohio State, and he comes over. He's originally from North Carolina, but comes over to Cincinnati to play some ball there to finish out his career. Yeah, it's a pretty good potential for this roster, for this team to do so. I like Brady Drogas. So the future of the quarterback position is a pretty good spot, but regardless, I don't know. I don't know. I think I was hoping for a little bit more this year. under Scott Satterfield, and I just with his track record at Louisville, I don't know how much better it's really going to get.
I agree 1000%. This is a lock for me, rank number 16.